Hi, I am Himanshi, final year BITS Pilani student. I am recording this video to show you the live demo of the project I have created for final sem. So the project is of data engineering domain, and it is Azure cloud based end-to-end data pipeline development for ETL and visualization. So I have created this project on Azure cloud, and this is an end-to-end data pipeline which will help us to do extract, transform, load and visualize the data. So here it is a brief description about my project. I have developed an end-to-end data pipeline flow in the cloud for ETL, which stands for extract, transform and load. And as this project is on cloud service, which is Azure, I have implemented a medallion architecture, which is which basically stand for three layers of your data, which are bronze layer, silver layer and gold layer. So every layer has its specification, such that for bronze layer we will be having the raw data. It is completely raw load. In silver layer we should transform the data which is already existing in bronze layer, and after all the transformations are applied, we have a clean data, and that clean data is stored in silver layer. In gold layer, it is basically the enriched data which is final for serving for further visualizations over your data. So that data sits in gold layer. The difference between silver layer and gold layer is such that silver layer is a single table which will have uh, all your data loaded and which is clean. But in gold layer I have implemented the data warehouse concept, which is star schema, and in star schema we have fact tables and dimension tables. Fact table storing only the facts and the measures, and dimension table stores all the dimensions of your data. So all the data which was in the single table is divided into further tables like fact table and dimension table, such that we will be removing all the data redundancies and data anomalies for updation, insertion, deletion. All those anomalies will be reduced. So that's why we have data in our data warehouse like format in our gold layer, which is final for serving to visualizations. And incremental data load is implemented in my project, such that every time when there is a new data, it will not fetch all the data from the starting. It will only fetch the data which is incrementally load, which is incremental, basically the new data which has come. It could be a new record or it could be update to the older record, which is coming as incremental data. So this will help us for faster processing. And I have built the dimension data models, which basically means the star schema and snowflake star schema, which will be having our fact tables and dimension tables, which will occur in the gold layer. And I have handled the slowly changing dimensions of the data, such that in our incremental load, if we got new records, then those will be adjusted accordingly in our final gold layer, as well as silver layer and gold layer. Whatever is the process running, accordingly everywhere it will be adjusted. Also, if there is an update to the older data, older record, so that will also be captured and updated accordingly throughout our process. So that is handling the slowly changing dimensions of the data. Whatever are the changes, they will be captured accordingly with the incremental load and adjusted. Data processing will happen via PySpark, distributed data processing framework used in a clustered environment. So whatever data processing I am doing in Databricks environment, which is Azure, which is connected with Azure services. All the storage layers I have created in Azure. Databricks itself, we can understand it as a separate entity which I have created and connected with my Azure environment. So all the processing which I am doing at the Databricks is I am doing using the PySpark, which is a distributed data processing framework. Means that it helps us to process our distributed data, as in the industry level uh, we have data distributed all across different machines, so that distributed data we can process using PySpark framework. So that I am using in Databricks. Final data will be visualized with Power BI report. So after our data is processed in our Databricks environment in gold layer, I am serving that data for Power BI visualizations, and reports will be created on the top of it. This is a very basic flow which I have created for my data flow. To explain that, there is a data ingestion, data will be ingested, and then raw data will be captured in bronze layer, transformed data will be captured in silver layer, serving data will be captured in gold layer, and data visualization and reporting will happen at the final. This is a very detailed architectural diagram which I have created. So basically our source which I have taken is GitHub. So in GitHub I will be having all my data. Let me show you my GitHub. Here I am having sales data.csv. This data is basically for car sales. This is the historical data which I have also created an update to historical data as well as some new records for this data. This will be serving as our incremental data which I have created. So this I will be having in my GitHub account. So once I have it in my GitHub account, this data will be fetched to Azure SQL database. So I have created an Azure SQL account which will be having all my tables. You can see source, cars, data. This is the table which will be loaded through my GitHub data. So I'm using a SQL database, even though I could have directly ingested it in Data Factory using Data Factory in bronze layer, because I wanted to have a real world type project, and in real world mostly industry level the data is populated from SQL only. That's why I have connected this GitHub to SQL database, and via SQL database we will be ingesting our data further in bronze layer. So in bronze layer, this is created in Azure Data Lake Storage. This is my Azure Data Lake Storage. This is the bronze layer, this is the gold layer, this is the silver layer. Everything is there in my data lake itself. So once we get our GitHub data is pulled to our SQL database, we will be having data in this table, which is the SQL table, this table, and then our data using our data factory will be sent to bronze layer. So this is the bronze layer which I have created in data lake. Once we have it there, then this is the incremental data will be loaded here. So how is it incremental data load? Because when I do the next run, so at that time during the next run, in the very starting, I have configured that whatever data is there, put that data in a bronze backup data. This is the bronze backup data, so it will have all the backup data, and only incremental data should remain in bronze layer, because on this bronze layer I have configured to fetch for silver layer whatever the data I'm getting is from bronze layer. So that's why it should have only incremental data. That's why if you want to trace the older data, then we can fetch using the bronze backup. Then comes the silver layer. Silver layer is fetching data from bronze layer. Bronze layer has only the incremental data, and the data I'm putting in data lake branch layer is in Parquet format. I am transforming the data over here using the data bricks, and I will be having a single table which is transformed in the silver layer. So how I am doing this is, using Databricks notebooks. So if I go to my workspace, if I go to notebooks, then this is the project I have created, sales project. This is my account, uh, Himanshi, and all the services are in my Azure account, Himanshi. So this is my notebooks which I have created for silver layer notebook. This is it, which will run for silver layer load. We will also I will also explain this step by step using the full pipeline. So this is where I am reading the data from the bronze layer, and I have applied all the transformations over it. If I'm doing any analysis, it is at the silver layer, because during the transformation we have enriched data in the single table. If you want to do any transformations or any analysis, we can do there as well, which is that's why I'm doing here. If I want to find any unit sold, any string, basically I have to change any uh, casting, I have to do change the data type of a column to some other data type. I'm doing over here. I'm calculating revenue per unit from silver layer itself and generating it as a new column. You will see here also this model category, it was not in the source data, so I am generating that. This is all the transformations which I am doing. It is basically splitting the data from model ID, and I have generated that. This is being generated. So whatever new columns are to be added, they are being added in the silver layer. And whatever the analysis and transformation I'm doing one more analysis over here to analyze the units sold for each branch every year. So I have written a code for that, and I'm analyzing that data as well. If you want to do a visualization, visualize units sold for each branch every year, then we can get it in Databricks as well. We can view the table data where every year whatever is the branch and what are the total units sold. So we can visualize the data and analyze it over here. For visualization, I have created two visuals, which is one of them is pie chart. In here you can see year 2020 to 2018, 2017, 2019 according to whatever is the data, and you can hover over it and find the exact percentage as well. This is the pie chart I have created for visualization from the silver layer, and this is also called as word cloud. So we can generate any type of visualization using the data which we have. Then this data I am writing to the silver layer, and then I can query over it and find the full data whatever is loaded there. So this is still the silver layer which I am having, and then once I have the data in silver layer as a one big table. If you see, when I do the when I run this data, it is a one big table, and which has all the new transformed these are the new columns which I have generated, and there is some data type changes to the columns which I have done. All the transformations happen over here, and then finally the data which we have enriched, we will put it in the silver layer. And then there is a um, gold layer. So basically gold layer is fetching the data from the silver layer, and gold layer will have the star schema which will have fact tables and dimension tables. So if I may show you, this is all the individual notebooks which I have created for every single every single dimensions. Like I had 4 dimensions according to my data: dimension, branch, date, dealer, model. All the dimensions I have individual code, and for fact table also I have individual code. So if I click on branch, so this is the code I have written for branch dimension, where I am getting the incremental flag. This flag I should be using in my data factory as well to capture whether it is a incremental load or it is a historical load. So I am retrieving all the data from silver layer. For every dimension the concept is the same. Once we get the data in our silver layer, from there we are fetching it for the gold layer. So we are fetching it from there. Then accordingly whatever I want for my branch gold dimension, I am taking it from there, or taking it from my silver layer table. And then what I am doing here is I am selecting those data which I have to put in my branch dimension. And then if you see here, so for the first time load our dimension table will not be there. So that time I am what I am doing is I am creating the schema from this code, and then that schema will be there in data sync. This is a data frame. If it is not a first time load, at that time we will already be having the data, and then I am fetching it from that table, which is cars catalog I have created in Databricks. Gold layer and dim branch is the branch. Dim branch is basically the dimension for branch. So this I have done. So for the first time load, if we do not have any schema, it will fetch that schema and work. So for our dimension tables I have created this branch key. This is for dimension branch key. So every dimension table will have a key which is nothing but a surrogate key. So when we have our dimension tables, we are going to use surrogate keys as our primary keys. This is the concept which we use in our data warehousing. So this is the dimension branch key, which will be having an int type, this is just the schema which I am presenting right now. And for the data load, so whatever is the data from source and sink, which is source is nothing but our incremental data, sink is which already exist in our data warehouse. All those concepts are implemented to develop our surrogate keys. So there is a code for developing the surrogate key as well. So nothing but it will fetch whether it is an incremental load or historical load. If it is an incremental load, if it is an historical load, at that time it will be considered max value as 1. This max value will be used to give this this dimension the surrogate keys. Surrogate key will start from 1 and it will monotonically increasing order, it will be given to every single record. So this is for the first time load. And if it is not a first time load, so whatever is the max branch key already existing, it will just add 1 to it, and then accordingly I shall pass it to new records, whichever are the new records. Data frame new will be having all the new records. So whatever are the new records, they will be having the surrogate key by +1. So this way I am developing the surrogate keys over here, and this is the code for all the developments. So for slowly changing dimensions, I have implemented the logic such that if it is a first time load, it will just write the data to the gold layer, and which is in our table dim branch. And if it is the second time load, at that time it will merge it, considering that new records will be will be inserted and old records will be updated. This is not an error actually, this was the last execution time. At that time it threw some issues, that's why it is showing in red, but otherwise if we run it over here or from the pipeline, it will be fine. So if we run code from notebook, at that time if there is an error, it will always be saved until and unless we manually run it from node. So that is the thing. And this is the same way uh, all the other tables, dimension tables are created. This is the dimension date table. This is the similar type of implementation for date dimension. So all the new records will have initially dim date key as null if we are doing a join with the source and sink, because the source is the new data and sink is the old data. So if the old data, if we have new data, then in our source the dimension key will be null, and in our sink, the source basically does not have dimension keys, that's why it will come as null when we do join between the both. This is the implementation over here, all the implementation for date. Then if I go here again, I'm showing you the implementation for dealer. Dealer is one more dimension table in which we have our dealer ID, dealer name, all the dealer related information which I have created. Similar type of implementation for dealer, whatever is the data needs to be fetched, I am fetching it from there. Once data is fetched, I am checking whether it is an old record or a new record. If it is a new record, then I need to attach the dim dim dealer key, and if it is an old record, then whatever was the dealer key, it will remain the same. It should be updated, because if it is an incremental data, then there must be any update to it, so it is updating that. Dim model is the last dimension table. This again has the similar type of implementation. So it has basically model ID and model category which is going for this dimension, and I am generating this dimension keys. This is it. Then comes the fact table. Fact table is being generated from all the dimension tables. So I am loading the data from silver layer, because as we go step by step we will understand it. First I am loading the data from the silver table. So this silver table data we will join with all the dimension table, and then we will fetch the records for our fact table. So once we get all the data from our silver table, this is the one big table which we got, which is already transformed. So this is the data which is serving for both, all the dimension tables, fact tables, everything is being generated from here. So once it is there, what a fact table contains is all the dimension keys. If it is a dealer, it will have dealer key. If it is a model, it will have dim model key. Branch will have branch key. All the keys will be there in the fact tables, all the measures. So I am joining with all of the table and fetching all the data for my fact table. So at the end I am writing that data. This implementation is for SCD, slowly changing dimension for fact, but it is very rare that fact table will get updated. It will be mostly insert if we are having a new record. So it is very rare for updates in fact, but mostly it is always inserts, because whatever is the dimension that will change, the keys are very unlikely to be changed. So that's, even though if it change, my code is written such that it will accommodate both. And then after that, in our final fact table, we will have all the arithmetic operations done, which are nothing but measures, and all our dimension keys. So this is the whole, and this is the silver layer notebook, which will be serving for silver layer, which I've already explained. Drop table basically has all the table data which needs to be dropped when we are having the first time load. At that time I'm dropping all of the tables, because I have created my data and my pipeline such that even if the table does not exist, it will fetch the schema and then create all the tables. So that's why it is uh, created. This is the DB notebook where I have created all the catalogs. I have created the cars catalog, I have created the schema, silver, catalog, gold. All these schemas are created over here. This is full about my Databricks notebook. So, recapping one more time. My source data will come from GitHub to SQLDB, SQLDB to it will come to Data Factory. In Data Factory, I will be putting it in bronze layer. Once it is put in bronze layer, at that time a watermark value will get updated with the updated latest watermark, latest data max value. The column specifically is the date ID, so my watermark will get updated once my data is loaded from SQL to bronze layer via ADF activity, and then that data watermark I am storing in watermark table. This is my watermark table. When it is for the first time load, this will be updated to 00, and then it is a transformed data will be having in silver layer. All the dimensions, facts and star schema we will be having in gold layer. Gold layer I have connected Power BI to fetch the data from the gold layer, and then we will be doing reportings over that data. So this is my end-to-end pipeline. Explaining it, I have two parameters. This is the live demo explanation. I shall run this pipeline as well, but before that I am showing all the activities. So this is the incremental flag, which will I have done 0 for historical data load, and incremental flag is 1, means it is for incremental data load, new data. New or update to old, it could be anything. Source prep file, what I have by default given it as sales data.csv, because I have saved it in my GitHub, the sales data.csv, which will be having all the historical data, and this is my file which will be having incremental data. So for historical data, I will be loading all this data to my SQL table. Once I have it, so this is the parameters I have. Then this is an activity which I have added at the very starting. What will it do is, it will get all the data for file names. This basically clubs up to cleaning all the data in my bronze layer, and while cleaning, before that it will create a backup and put all the data in my bronze backup table. So whatever the data is, if there is already existing in bronze layer, it will back up, clean that data from there, and get me a backup over here. So these activities are doing that part. And it is basically getting all the data which we have in my bronze layer, then copying it to bronze backup, and then deleting it. So this will happen always, because our bronze layer should have only the incremental data. and then there is a script run. If you see, this is an if activity, if condition load, such that this activity will only run checking that the incremental flag should be 0, stating that it is a historical load. So for historical load, what I have done is update the watermark value to 0000. So for the first time load, there is no data loaded, so watermark value will be 00. And then this is an execute pipeline which will execute and clear. Basically this sums up to clearing all the data in my silver layer and gold layer, because everything should be cleaned before we start. So delete all the data in my silver layer, and in this, basically there will be, in gold layer we will be having folders. I think I have it right now. In my gold layer I will be having folders, as we have dimensions and dimensions and facts, so we will be having folders for everything. So I'm deleting all these folders, and in my silver layer I will be having only the files. So I will be deleting all these files. This folder will remain as is. So all that cleanup data I'm doing over here. Once I get all the data for child items, gold, once I get all the name of the folders which I have in gold table, then it will one by one delete all of them. So this is the cleanup activity which will happen only once during the historical load. Then I have added this activity in which it will basically copy the data from GitHub, and then it will load the data in cars data table. Once data is added, then I have this execute activity which will, first it is having last load. Last load is basically whatever is the watermark value last loaded, which will be having 00 for the first time, and then current load is the maximum value which we have in our source data table. So once the data is loaded over here, whatever is the maximum value, so for all the data from the last date till now, whatever is the maximum date value, everything will be loaded into data lake bronze layer, and then once everything is loaded, our watermark value will get updated in our watermark table. So this is an if condition. Again, it will only run for historical load. For historical load, I have created a notebook which I already explained. This is the same notebook to drop all the DBs and tables. Then here comes the Databricks notebook for silver layer to load all the data to the silver layer. Then for branch, model, dealer, date, or all these activities, I am passing the incremental flag which is coming from my parameter. So I'm passing this, accordingly it will execute for historical or incremental. And then there is a fact table which I'm a fact notebook which will be generating the fact tables. So this is the explanation of all the activities in my project. So this is a single pipeline which will run for both the historical as well as incremental. This will run for both historical as well as incremental. Only the if conditions one, we only want that to run only for the first time. So bronze layer will always be cleaned up for the run, because we want bronze layer to be populated only with incremental data. If activity for update to watermark to 00 and to clean up the silver layer and gold layer for the first time load. Then pulling the data from GitHub to SQL database. Once it is pulled to SQL database to data lake storage and updating the watermark value. And then if it is a first time load, drop all the schemas and tables, and then generate the silver and the dimension tables, and then at the end generate the fact table. So this is a single table for single pipeline for our incremental as well as historical load. So I have created all the data sets and link services also for the same. So I shall be running this demo right now. So for the first time run, it will pull the data from this file, which will be having more about 1849 records. This is the first time load, which is historical. So I will be running it. So for the first time load, this data, whatever is in the layers, silver layer, everything will be cleaned up and new data will be added over here. And in bronze layer, whatever is the data is there, it will be backed up. So running this activity. For that I also need to start my cluster. So I'm starting it as of now. It will take some time to start. Till the time it starts, I shall show you that I've also created workflows in Databricks as well. If you see, this is an initial run. I have created two pipelines separately over here. We can also do task over workflows, Databricks workflows. So if you see, it is the drop table for initial load, then silver, and then all the branch table. So all the dimension tables, and then the fact table is being created. So we can do this type of activity over here as well. And this is for data model. This is the data model for incremental load. So for incremental load, this is the same activities, as we do not need to pass the as we do not need to drop the tables. So I have removed that activity. Everything else is same, just the parameter value for all the dimension keys, all the dimension tables, we are passing the flag value as 1. So we can do it over here also, but the thing is, in our data factory everything is integrated, but over here it is just silver load and gold load and fact table. So that's why I have created one pipeline which will execute all these things from a single click. So we can do otherwise separately over here also, but before that we need to have data in bronze layer, so we need to trigger individual pipelines from ADF. But in our ADF, this is the master pipeline. In single click it will execute whatever we want. So we can do that way also according to our needs. Coming back to compute, it will take some time. This is all my files. So let me show you the ADF, the SQL tables. So it already has data because I have tested it, but it will truncate this data. When it is doing for the first time, the script will update the script which I had showed over here. This does two things. It does two things such that it will first, watermark value will be set to 0, and this table will be set to, this will be truncated. So if there is any data over here already existing, so we are doing historical load, so we will truncate it. So everything whatever is here, if you see the count star right now, it is 1853. So it will delete all the data and it will do a fresh load. And in watermark table, if you see, it is having some other value. So all of this will be updated, and this will be completely cleared for the first time load. So my cluster is running right now, and if you see my data in SQL table, I have it, but the count is 1853, but I have only historical data as 1849, so everything will be cleared and then reloaded. And we have data over here, so let me run my master pipeline. This I am running for incremental load, sorry, historical load. Historical is the first time load. I need the default values only. Incremental flags should be set to 0, which is fine, and source file is sales data, which is also fine, because in our incremental we have, if we want to do any changes, we can do changes, but this is fine for our historical load. So I have run this. So it is in progress state. So what does this do is, it will clear our bronze layer, and whatever is the data is in bronze layer, I am currently in bronze layer, whatever is the data in here, it will clear it and data will go to backup. So it is currently in progress. Okay, it is in progress. Once it is completed, we will have this in our bronze backup, and this will be cleared because it will be having only incremental data. So this is done. If I refresh, it is cleared. So basically for the first time load, our bronze layer is now cleared. Not only first time, incremental also it will happen the same way, because we want only one file which having incremental data. So this is done. So now I will be having data in my bronze backup table. So 15th, today is 15th, and it is having my data. So it is backed up correctly. So now go back to this. Then for the first time load, so if condition got successful, because I am running it for the first time load, which is historical. Script run has been successful. Script run has been successful means our watermark value is set to 0, 0, which is correct, and count star from this table is 0. So everything is truncated because of the first time load. Okay, it is truncated and watermark table as well. So now the execute silver layer and gold layer. This is the pipeline which will clean up our silver and gold layer. So I'm going to gold. It is cleaned up. Then I'm going to silver. In car sales, it is also cleaned up. So cleanup is also successful. Then it is running the execute pipeline for source prep. So source prep is the pipeline in which we will have our data from GitHub to SQL DB. So let me check for SQL. Let me check directly the count. It is 1849. I had 1849 in my source, and everything is loaded over here. If we want to have a look at the table, we can have a look. Branch ID, dealer ID, model ID, and the other tables, other columns are here, and our data is successfully loaded to our SQL DB. If you see the watermark value, it is also updated. So updated means the second pipeline is also successful. This pipeline is successful. This pipeline is successful. That's why we have our watermark value. Watermark value is updated to 4.5. And if I go to the bronze layer, we should have that data over here, because watermark value is updated after we get our data in bronze layer data lake. So now we have our data. Once we have our data is copied. After that our watermark value is updated. So we had that data and that pipeline is successful. Now there is the if condition. If condition got successful, because this is a first time load, and we are dropping all the tables for cleanup. So this is dropping all of our tables, whatever we have. The tables are created in Databricks catalog. So successful. If condition, it went successfully in the inside of the if condition. Notebook drop table for cleanup. So if I go to uh, if I go to right now, it is in progress for this silver layer and gold layers as well. Let me quickly try to run it. If I could catch up, then let me show you the run for fact table, because that is not in progress right now, so it would have been dropped. Executing query. So if you see, it throws error because it is right now dropped. All the other tables are in progress, but it is dropped for this. All of those tables will first be dropped and then be recreated with the historical. So that's why it is throwing error. If I see, the silver load is completely done. So we had 1849 records in my SQL database. So I should get all the 1849 in my silver layer, because it is the first time loader. So everything should be loaded over there, and it should be transformed. So if I run, so if I run my query, see, I have all the data. This is, you can have a look at the data. All the IDs, revenue is there, unit sold, date ID, all the branch name. These are the model category I have created newly. Revenue per unit I have created newly. There are some changes to the branch name or any other data types which I have. So this is the full transformed data which is there in our silver table. So let me quickly give a count star, and it should have all our data, which is 1849, because it is a first time load. Count star. If I run it, (1849) means it is loaded correctly. So once it is loaded, let me check whether dimension tables are created. So it is in progress. Let me refresh it once. Yeah, so dimension tables are created. So if I show you anyone, like, this is the count of the dimension table I am getting. Count of the dimension table is 1836, and if I could show you the data in here, 1836, because it will not always match to the exact number 1849, because it was having only the branch data. So accordingly, it will have the distinct branch ID, branch names, so it might vary. So having a look at the branch table, this is the branch data, dim branch key, which is having all the keys. This is correctly populated 1 2 3 4, which I have created using my code. This is all the branch IDs and branch names. So accordingly, we will have all the data in all our dimensions. In all our dimensions, we will be having our data. If I run for date, it will be having date key, date ID, everything is there. And then if I run for dealer, it will be having dealer, all the dealer related details. If I am to show for the model, if I run it, it has all the model related details, and correctly the keys are populating. If I have to do count star at the gold table should have all the data, so it should be full 1849 records. So if I do count star, it has 1849, means all the load is successful. If I show you the data in fact table, fact table, this has revenue, unit sold, per unit, and then all the dimension keys for all the dimension tables, all the measures, all the arithmetic operations which we are doing, everything is there in the fact table. So let me show you what I am going to pass for incremental load. It is incremental data which I had prepared. For incremental data, what I have done is I have updated the dealer's name for the dealer dimension key. This is the new data which I am going to pass, and there is one of them is a new record which I am passing. This is completely new record, and some of the old records I have updated. So we will check it using the incremental load. This should be accommodated accordingly. If I could show you for one of the, this is a new record. So let me show you this, that it does not exist right now. Dealer, it no rows, it does not exist. It is a new record which I have created, and if I show you for any one of them, I have just updated. These are the old records which I have updated. What is the dealer name? I have added up at the end, and let me show you for this one. If I show you, see, it is having Karma Motors, only till Motors it has, and now I have added up. It is the same for all of them, 2, 3, all it is the same way. Let me show you quickly. 2, it is having the same Motors, only no up, and then for 3 it has only till Motors. So all these are updated, these 3 are updated, and this is a new record which I am passing for my incremental data. So let us see how the pipeline works, and will it be able to accommodate all of these. So this is a one time. So for our incremental load, branch layer will still be cleaned up because we want only incremental data. So this is successful. For the historical load, everything is successful, and let me run for incremental. For incremental flag will be 1, and then I am having the file name as incremental sales update. So incremental flag 1, incremental sales update dot csv. Let me run this. This is for our incremental load. It is starting freshly. Now this one is in progress, so our branch layer will get cleaned up. This is branch, so this will get cleaned up. It is running. This is successful, so it will be having cleared our branch layer. Branch layer is cleared. If I go to the backup, it will be having that data. This is the new data which is added over here in the backup. Then after that I have initial. So if you see, it is not executing that pipeline. This is the source pipeline, this pipeline. It is not executing the pipeline inside it, which is update script run, and this pipeline is not being run. Directly it is running this pipeline because it is incremental load. it is source prep. So how will it work is our count star for this table was 1849 initially. I have added four new records. Four new records I have added, 1 2 3 4. So four records. 1849 plus 4 is 1853. So it should have 1853. 1853 means all the four records which were coming are accommodated. These are accommodated, and then our watermark value should also be updated. So this run is also successful. Our data will be in the bronze layer and watermark will be updated. So let me show you first the watermark. The watermark initially it was 12459, now it is 1247. So watermark is also updated. Watermark updated means we have the data at the bronze layer successfully, and if I go to the bronze layer, it is having the data is successfully loaded. Now if you see, if condition is again, so if condition notebook silver load, if condition and then again if condition then notebook silver load means it did not go in notebook drop table. So notebook silver load, okay. So silver load is successful. So if silver load is successful, silver load has only the incremental data as we are fetching it from the bronze layer. So it should have count star for 4 only. It should not have the whole. It is having 4. And let me show you the data. If I run it, I have all the 4 data which I have updated. The names are updated up, and then this is a new record which I have added. All of them, all of that is there. So everything is successful. All my dimension tables are created. So let me show you I remember the count of the branch key little bit. Let me check. So data will be loaded accordingly. If there is distinct branch ID, branch name, then only it will be loaded in branch. If it is not there, then it will not be loaded, because it is dimension tables, do not has duplicacies. Count star, the spelling is mistake. Count star, if I do, so it is 1840, and initially it was 1836 if you remember. So 4 records are added, means all of them had distinct branch ID and branch name. So that's why it is added. Distinct branch ID and branch name they would be having. The combination of these two will be distinct. That's why it is added to branch dimension. If there is no distinct, then it will not be added, because we have different dimension and it is capturing only the unique data. Then I have the date. If you see, I have added 2 distinct dates, this and this. If you see, distinct of these two is 2. So basically it will be having 2 more records. If I do count star, then it has 1, it is 5 8, and initially it had 5 6. And for this table, dealer table, if you remember, this particular ID we had added up at the end, so this should be modified. Only one ID should be there, and it should be having a updated name. So it is having updated name. If I show you for, I think 2 was also there, ID 2 was also updated, ID 2 is also updated. It was ID 2 3 and 0 and 0. If I run it, so it is also updated. So all of them are updated successfully, and this particular record I had added as new record. So let me show you whether it got added or not. So it is added successfully. Initially we had total 267 records initially with our first historical load. So this is the only new record which is added, other three were update records. So that's why 268 is the id newly assigned to this particular record, and this is our new record which got loaded. And similar way we have loaded all the data for models. Whatever is, if there is any distinct new or update, it will be accommodated accordingly over here as well. If I check my fact table, it should have all the 4 records because it is a new it is having dimensions keys as well, and the if there is any distinct value at any level, it should be having all those records. In fact table should be a full load. Fact table has all the 1853 records, and 4 were initially added and 1849 was with our historical load only. So this is it. So it is having 1853 all of the records which were to be supposed in our incremental load. And then once we get all our data correctly with our incremental load in our dimension tables and fact tables, then I have connected this with the Power BI to visualize the data. So this is the Power BI which I have connected with. If you see, it is cars, catalog, gold, dimension, branch. All of the data I have loaded accordingly, and this is the report which I have created. If I go show you, this is the model ID. If for sum of units sold by model ID, for every model ID, what is the sum of units sold? It is having all the data over here. If we want, we can also check the branch ID, branch name, sum of revenue per unit, and this is the sum of units sold. So all of that data I can get. If I want for an individual model, I can click here, and for that individual model ID, what is the model name, what is the sum of units sold, that model is associated with which branch IDs, which branch names, what is the sum of revenue for them, and what is the sum of revenue per unit for them, and sum of units sold. So this is an interactive dashboard as our report which I have created from my gold layer, and all the data I have loaded in my Power BI which is connected to Databricks. This is it for my project. Thank you so much.